And as we can see, they've loaded the data here that we ended up with. In this video, we're going to save and load data, and specifically we're going to focus on our player script here in the tower defense demo game. We're going to be following along with the scripting docs. If you go to infinitypbr.com, click on scripting docs, you'll come to our documentation, go down to save and load, and we will have all the information here. We're going to follow along with this, and I will be posting this video to this page as well. So we already have our player class here. We just need to make this savable. So we're going to start by adding the Saveable script. And this has a save ID which is randomly generated, and we're not going to change it. It's fine the way it is. It's random, it's unique, and it does everything we need it to do just by adding this component. So before we make the player savable, let's go ahead and look at the start actions here. At the end of the start actions, we start the start actions coroutine on player. And this is going to do our additional start actions on the player actor, which inherits from game modules actor. Our additional actions here are just adding our starting health and resources and new tech values. So we want to make sure that if these values are not empty, then we don't want to overwrite them. So we're going to just get the health stat, and if it's not null, then we're going to return. If it is null, then we'll continue with creating the starting stats, which also adds these stats to the list if they are null and sets their point values here. If health is not null, it means that we've already loaded this data and we should not overwrite the values. So now in our player class, we're going to implement Saveable and add those missing members here. For this project, our Saveable object ID is just going to be player. Depending on your project, you might need a unique Saveable object ID for each thing. In this case, we can just stick with player because we're only ever going to have one player in the project. The scripting docs are instructing us to create a new struct that contains the save data, and this is essentially going to store all the information that we want to keep between play sessions. The player actor class is really the only thing we need to save here, so we're just going to include only a public player actor. And now let's populate our save state and load state methods. The scripting documentation has an example of the save state here, and so I'm just going to copy it over. And as you can see in this save state, we're going to create a new data object of the type player save data, populate the player actor with our player actor on the player class, and then return that data. And on the load state, we're going to do the opposite, but we're going to decode it from the JSON encoded string. Again, I'm just going to start by copying this, and we will replace what we need to replace. So in the load state, we're going to start by decoding the JSON encoded state that this method will receive. We're going to encode that to a data object of type player save data. Then we're going to populate our player actor with the data from player actor data from the data object. And then we'll do the coroutine start actions just in case we need to run anything on that in the future. The project may progress and we may add additional start actions that aren't there today. So we're just going to keep this here for now. This actually does nothing, but we might need it in the future, so I'll leave it here for now. The pre and post load and save actions here are optional. We are not going to be using them at this time in this demo. I'm going to leave them empty. Now let's ensure we are actually saving the data. So let's look at the canvas, which has this level complete script. On our level complete class, when the level is complete, we're going to do a few things, including save and load.save, and that will save all the data. So let's give it a try. All right, so now the game has saved. We can see the information right here. We can see that the save ID has been set and that 3 objects have been saved. So now if we press stop and press play again, it should load the last saved game. And as we can see, they've loaded the data here that we ended up with. Now, of course, this is the same level. We're going to need to create a second map for the player to continue and also a reset button on the menu. So let's go ahead and do that now and create a button to reset the saved stats. Our title screen has a new campaign button, and if we look at the code for this, when we press it, we first check to see if there are any game files. If there aren't any, then we're just going to load level 1. This will happen the very first time that the game is played, and if there is a game file, then we're going to activate the new campaign panel. Now we know we have a game file, so if I click this, it's going to activate here, and then on continue, our new campaign class here we'll find the last save ID and delete that from the list. We're then going to reset our progress and load the next level. Loading the next level just calls the next level, which is defaulted to level 1, and when we reset everything, we're going to reset that to level 1. Now when we press play, everything is deleted, and when we start the wave, we have the default values here. Now I'm going to stop this here and show that when we press play again, now we've already deleted the files, so there should be no files, no save files left available to load, and we see that here. The save game ID is null or white space, attempting to load last saved game, and this implies that we have nothing to load, so the load process is aborted. So now when we click new campaign, it goes directly to the first level. Now this game is only going to have one save file. You play the campaign and you level up through that, and then the goal is after you've done that, you can just do custom games and create your own experiences like that. In that case, we only need to ever control one game file. So your project might be slightly different and have multiple save files. And if you want to see a demonstration of that, check out the party-based RPG demo game, which comes with the game modules as well. And you can see how we manage multiple save files and loading them, saving them, updating them, and so on. There you go. Have a great day. Let me know what you think on the Discord.